How long will the Michigan housing market be like this? Will it cool down? Is it going to continue to heat up? A question that is making wrinkles appear and hair fall out all over the country for people within the state of Michigan and people looking to relocate to Michigan. Stick around because I'm going to show you where the market's been and where it's going, starting right now. In order to give you a great representation of the housing market in Michigan, I thought the best way to do this would be to give you the cold, hard facts and do some detailed interpretation of the data. I'll take into account the month supply, shows per listing, sale price, pending sales, closed sales, and much more. Oh, and before I forget, if you find some value in the Living in Michigan channel, do your thing and make sure you never miss out on an upload because 80-something% of you guys aren't even subscribed. It's pure craziness, I tell you. Anyways, I'm going to be taking a look at the MLS data for the whole state of Michigan just to give you a little diversified insight on what's happening these days. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, so taking a look at the computer here, the first thing I want to take a look at is the original price versus the sale price. And this will go back 3 years, so let's take a look at this. So I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit. So the green is the original price and the blue is the sale price. And as you can see from there on the bottom, and it is 550,000 listings from January 2019 to December 2021. And like I said, this is going to be going over Michigan in general. So taking a look at this graph, as you can see in January 2019, the original price was $169,000 and things were selling for $145,000. And again, this is median. But as you can see from the years going on, from the pandemic coming into motion and the pent-up demand and the low mortgage rates and everybody spending their stimulus checks on down payments and what have you, you can take a look at this sale price here. So the sale price definitely, you can see they kind of did an exchange here where it was a lot under and then it started creeping up, a little less, but then it goes up, and at this time, I mean, this is the end of 2021 here where people were saying, oh, the seasons are changing, nobody's buying houses right now, nobody wants to buy a house in the late fall, nobody wants to buy a house in the winter, it's only the spring and the summer. Well, take a look at this. I mean, look at these prices. At the end here, this is December 2021, and the median price was $185,000, and then the sale price ended up being $210,000. So when people say, is the market crazy? You almost need to keep in mind that, okay, this house will probably go for $15,000 to $20,000 over asking price. So you almost want to look at houses that are under the budget that you originally tended to. Like, for example, I mean, if it's going for $15,000 to $20,000 over the asking price, you could be looking at something that's for $380,000, expecting it to hit $400,000 instead of looking at $400,000, seeing it to go for $420,000, if that makes sense. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is the percent of the list price, and I'll hop on over to this, make my screen a little smaller here because you don't need to see me that big. So percent of list price. So as you can see, this is absolutely bonkers. From 2018, things were selling for 98.5% of the list price. So as you go through the years, and like I said about the factors before, and all this pent-up demand and inventory shortage and low mortgage rates, it just caused things around this time here, about June 2020, when things, opened up a little bit more. I know if you remember, they shut down the real estate industry for a little bit, and that just had people on their toes. They really wanted to get into the market and get a house, and at this point, you just see things, go from that 98.6% and jump up to the 100%, and then it just rides this clean line here. But as I showed you from the last graph, things were going well above 100% over, percentage from list price to sold price. So this graph it just can't even comprehend that it's going so far above 100%. It won't even go above 100%, and this is my data here. So you really have to take a look at things where it's doing the ratios instead, because this doesn't really help you out at all because it's just saying 100%. So jumping to the months of supply here, month supply. So, gotta get me out of the way again here. So in 2018, it was 3.1. And month supply, the way that you think of month supply is it would take 3.1 months for the supply of homes on the market right now to completely sell and just be gone. And that's not adding any more to the pile of houses. That's just with what we have right now, with what's on the market right now. This is 3.1 months, and that's all it would take for things just to go sideways. So in 2020, that's how we were feeling with, it was around this 2.3 to 2.6 area where we were like, oh, this is terrible. There's not inventory in the market. It's low inventory. And that's all you saw the headlines reading was, it's low inventory, it's low inventory, everything sucks, everything's terrible. But what people haven't been talking about still is they just keep not putting emphasis on this low inventory. I mean, look at the decline here. All the way until December 2021, a month ago, we have 1.4 months supply. Meaning, again, it would take 1.4 months for the supply to completely disappear, and that's how much inventory we have in the market. It's absolutely insane. So, jumping to the next thing I'm going to show you about this market right now. And again, this goes over all of Michigan right now. This is the MLS for Michigan. And as you can see from the top, it's the entire MLS, and it's all price ranges, all property types, all financing, all sizes, everything. So I'm not factoring anything. This is everything. This is the raw data here. All right, so shows per listing. So as you can see, gotta get myself out of here again. In 2018, it was 6.6 showings per listing. And right when that 2020 that came around with, again, all those factors that I mentioned, 5.1 showings. So, I mean, just think about it. In 2020, I don't think we even take it a second to even look back at how crazy it was. People are like, okay, putting the house up for sale. 5 showings later, the thing's selling for over 100% what the list price was, which is absolutely insane. And now you'll see that it's kind of getting back to, it's going higher than it was in 2018. So at this point, we're getting more showing. So when a lot of people look at this graph and just look through the data, looking back at 2018, it was around 6 showings, and now it's about 10. You would think, the houses are overpriced, duh. It's seller greed. And there is a little bit of that. But it's not just seller greed. It's just the fact that, like I showed, the inventory is so low and the buyer demand is so high. You have so many more people, so little inventory that they're just getting a lot more showings. It's not necessarily that it's overpriced. It's just a lot of showings these days are accepting overlapping showings. So if you've ever gone through the buying process or it's been a while, a lot of times when you do showings, you'll pick a time slot, 15 to 30 minutes to see this house, and you get that 30 minutes. Well, in this market, it doesn't matter what time you get, because there could be 3, 4, 5 other people there, and you could be standing in a line out the door. And that's just how it is, unfortunately. That's just how it is. So jumping to the sale price. And as you can see, this is obvious from based on the other graphs that I showed you, is with all these factors in mind, it's just driving the prices. But as you can see, it's gradual. It's not something that just went up and went over. There's just been a steady increase over the years. This is a 3-year period, and there's nothing that just goes straight up and straight over. So things have been gradual. So when you're thinking, I'm just going to wait for the market to crash and it's going to go back down, or the prices are just going to go back down. Well, it doesn't just go back down. You can see that it just gradually, goes like this. It's not just something that's just going to go, okay, here we go, unless, again, there's a catastrophic event that just blows this whole market to smithereens here. All right, so pending sales. Let's take a look at those. And this goes to show too, and as you can see, there's more pending sales now than there was in 2018, and there was more inventory in 2018 than there was now. So that just tells you how fast things are selling. So there's more pending sales. Look at this point here, May 2021. There was just been a crazy amount of pending sales, and the inventory, the month supply, it just never had a chance to build up, because things are selling before they're even hitting the market, or they're selling in a couple days and then they're gone. So it's not that people aren't selling necessarily, there is a little bit of that people aren't selling, they're hesitant. I mean, this market's just, it's unlike any other, so I mean, of course there's going to be some hesitation, but when they look at this, it's just, things are just selling quick. That's all there is to it. So let's look at closed sales here. All right, so closed sales. And again, that just goes based on the pending sales I said. There's more closed sales right now than there was in 2018. I mean, 2018 wasn't the greatest market by any means, but it was before the pandemic. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how things are going here. There's just, the inventory is going so fast, not necessarily that there's not a ton out there just because it's going pending so quick. But that about sums up the graphs and how the market is. And this, like I said, this is the raw data. This is what a realtor has provided. This is what they see from everything going on in the market. And as you can see, there's all these different things that I can take a look at here just to really narrow in on what's happening with this market. You can use metrics and you can use all these different ratios and percentages to really figure out, okay, what's really happening here? Is it the seller hesitation? Is it seller greed? Is it whatever? So that is really just a quick recap of how this market is doing right now. I hope that little demonstration gave you a better idea of how the market truly is. As you can tell, the phrase housing market crash is a popular one, and media outlets are using it to get some additional views. So I thought I would just throw some real facts at you instead of creating panic for you to make a decision without thinking. So when people tell you, yeah, Michigan's housing market is definitely cooling down, it's wintertime, no one buys homes in the winter, just laugh at them a little bit because Michigan feels like it's winter more than it's not. And you and I both know the whole state doesn't put their real estate plans on 4+ month holds, or real estate professionals probably wouldn't have a job. It's unfortunate, but based on what I showed you about homes going above asking price, you'll have to keep that in mind when budgeting, because this market as of right now is not one you can have the mentality that you're going to find this hidden gem way under asking price, because for starters, that's what every buyer's goal in this market is. And if for some reason you get an accepted offer under asking price, chances are that home was overpriced anyway and you were just getting it for market value, or there's something extremely wrong with the home and you just haven't gotten your inspection yet to figure it out. That's the strategy when it comes to pricing homes today. You either price it lower than market value to cause a bidding war and to drive the price much higher, which is something a few of my clients wanted to take advantage of, and we ended up locking in an offer $29,000 over asking price, which came out to roughly $12,000 over market value. The other so-called strategy is to price the home high and accept an offer below the asking price to make the buyer think they are getting a deal, but in reality, the home was just extremely overpriced anyway. I have made a few videos about pricing strategies, 2022 market conditions, and housing forecasts, where I went deeper into where mortgage rates are going, so if you want to watch a video on that, I'll link it below. Aside from how the market is at the moment, it's no secret that mortgage rates are climbing, whether we like it or not. In August, I capitalized on a 2.6 interest rate. Now I have clients who are getting approved for upwards of 3.6, 3.8% in December and early January right now. That may not seem like a significant jump to you, but what about in the next 2 months or the next 2 months after that? Before you finally pull the trigger on getting pre-approved, checking your credit score, and getting all your ducks in a row, you could be securing a 4.3% mortgage rate. And as you could see from the graphs I showed you, inclines and declines were happening at a gradual rate. It wasn't just an all-at-once jump in the graph. So if you're waiting for 2008 to happen all over again so you can buy up houses for cents on the dollar, it most likely won't happen unless we have some catastrophic event of some kind that drives a wedge in these educated forecasts. So the question remains for some of you out there, should you wait to buy a home or should you just buy one right now? And at the end of the day, it's your choice and up to you. If you ask a realtor, they'll probably say the best time to buy a house is always 5 years ago, and that's true. But it's not so much that as it is advice not to just wait around for the perfect moment. Because truthfully, there isn't one. And if you know of one, I bet you knew Nostradamus was wrong about 2012. In all seriousness, I say it never hurts to start now, even if the process is dragged out. If you're actually planning on doing something, just do it. Mortgage rates aren't getting any lower, and if you're one of the many buyers who finds a home they actually like in this inventory shortage, then by all means, get on it. If you have questions or hypotheticals you want to run by me, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm just a call, text, or email away anytime. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If it provided you some value, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to tap the bell so you are notified every single time I come out with a new video. I'll see you in the next one.